Hi, this is Rich Tillman from St. John's, Florida, and I play golf at the King and the Bear Country Club at the World Golf Village and at the Naval Air Station, Jacksonville, of course. And this is Golf Smarter number 966.
The research that we've done and seen and been provided, it unequivocally proves that walking is a much higher benefit to your health than sitting in a golf cart. And it can come from a caddy where you're just walking, or are you pushing, or you're carrying your own bag. We've actually seen some research that has shown that even just walking with an electric caddy, you're burning as much, if not more, than carrying your bag or pushing a cart because of the benefits of what goes on with your back. If you're pushing a cart, you're in a posture that's not very natural either, because depending on the hills or how the ground, if it's very soft and wet, your posture can be almost somewhat horizontal to the ground because where you're pushing. So the really benefits for us, and especially for electric caddies, is you're literally taking a walk. So you do feel fresher, you do feel different.
Walking a course just got easier, and the health benefits are substantial. With Billy Holbrook of MGI Golf.
This is Golf Smarter, sharing stories, tips, and insights from great golf minds to help you lower your score and raise your golf IQ. Here's your host, Fred Green.
Welcome to the Golf Smarter podcast, Billy.
Hey, Fred. Nice to see you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us today. This is going to be an interesting one because I've always talked about how I like to walk a golf course. That walking a golf course for me is a way that I can remember the golf course, because I notice that when I'm in a cart and I'm driving, I don't remember things about the golf course.
Right. Same here. Unless it's like an extremely unique course or something that's just top of the line, place that you've seen, or you've seen on TV. But you're right. If I play on a cart, I could be on the seventh hole and says, "Remember on number 2?" And you sit there and like, Jesus, I don't even remember number 2. I was like, explain that again. And like, that's so strange that was only 40 minutes ago, but yet it was hard to, again, maybe it's something about our age. Who knows? That might say something about our age here. I don't know.
Well, I hope not.
I know.
But the other part of it is like, when you're in a cart, you're just talking to somebody. So you hit the ball, drive to the ball, hit the ball, drive to the ball.
Correct.
And it's just like, and then there's nowadays people have music in the cart, and it's like, it's not, I'm out here to be out here. Mm-hmm. Right. And I want to do this. And I enjoy the walk. I enjoy the wildlife.
Yeah.
If there's lucky enough to have any other than just birds, things flying around out there. But, so I've advocated for a long time that people should be walking.
Yeah.
And what I really noticed lately, there's more and more people in carts, driving in carts, and they're young people. Mm-hmm. These are people who can walk.
Yeah.
But I think they're drinking too much. But
I'm sure that has a little bit to do with it. And I think, unfortunately, the way America has, the American golf business has been run for, the last 30, 40 years, golf courses have been designed for carts, meaning, the green to the next tee may not be right next to it. So I would say, from 40 years past, you'll be able to see a more walkable golf course. That's something that's a little bit older. But the modern design of golf courses has really made it where the green to the next tee might not be, and I'm sure you can, testify this, it could be 400 yards away to the next tee. And so a lot of times, I've gone to so many courses where they would say the cart path, the length of the cart path, just to play 18 holes, is sometimes over 9 miles long, just to get around. And that's a long walk if you wanted to do that. But I think we were just talking, and I think you hit it right on the head. Walking really, it does bring out a more rhythmic way to play, right? Where I think everyone when I talk to, it's like, boy, when I do walk, or if I'm lucky to take, a caddy with me, I do play a lot better, because it's paced so much easier. You hit a ball, you're not rushing right to not a cart rushing to your next shot. That time you're taking to get to that shot, you're able to think about things, experience some things, seeing views rather than, 10 seconds later, you're at your shot waiting for the green to clear or something like that. It is it's a much better paced way to play. Everyone plays better when they do walk. Now, we are in the society that time is valuable. And hey, if I can get around faster with a cart, that's the perception you get. But I think we've been able to really do a lot of research and do some things where if 4 of you are walking and 4 of you are on a golf cart, it's literally within a minute or two difference in how long it takes to play.
Is that right?
Yeah.
The timing, people think that they're speeding things up, but they're not really.
No, they're not really. And it really does, depending on the pace of how it is in front of you. If you play in a public course on a Saturday morning, it's going to be 4:15. It's going to be 4:15 if you're taking a cart and rushing to your ball, or it's 4:15 and you're walking. But we've done enough research where it is very, very, very close to that, because you got to remember, Fred, you're in a cart with 2 people. You're going to your partner's ball as well. So by the time all that is kind of put together, you're literally, you could take a straight line and get there just as effectively.
And then there's those days where you have the 90-degree rule or cart path only.
Yep.
And probably nothing slows down around more than cart path only.
Correct. It's I mean, in my club here in Orlando, I mean, if they're not allowing carts or if it's cart path only, I mean, it's just people don't play. I mean, it's just
amazing.
It's amazing. So, luckily for us, we've been able to really do really help with a lot of that by providing caddies to hey, here's another option for you, because it is there's nothing worse than having to go back and forth from the cart path, especially if you hit it, on the opposite side of the cart path. There's nothing worse. And then then you're like, God, I don't know how far it is. I'll bring my bag with me just because I don't know what kind of shot I'm going to have. So it's it does bring in a lot of extra work.
Yeah, there's a course, two of the courses that I play regularly. One of them, it's like at the end of the day, it's like you took 12,000 steps today, or 11,000 steps, and that's about a 4.5 to 5 mile walk, which is great.
Yes.
And then the other course has, as one of my buddies says, like, if there's a fence, you got to go through it, right? And that's like a 17,000 step, where we're almost walking over 7 miles on that. And it can get pretty warm over there. That's quite a walk. And what the hardest thing that people get nervous about walking is the wheels falling off, right?
Sure.
And not having enough hydration, not having enough nutrition, and by the end of the round, they're not holding it together quite well.
Back nine,
and they use that as their excuse as why they need to be sitting in a golf cart.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, you can add that to anything. I mean, the more you do something, you're just going to get better at it. With any type of exercise, the first few times you do it, it might struggle a little bit, but after a while, you're actually benefiting yourself to push yourself through those 18 holes. You will get better at it and healthier, obviously.
And how long have you been playing golf?
I was probably nine. So well over 40 years. So
were you introduced to golf as a walker?
Oh yeah, of course. You carried your bag. I was a member at a 9-hole course in Connecticut, and I was the first junior member they ever had. And I just I drove my bike up to the club, played 36 holes every day, but walked it the whole time. I mean, I never took a cart. I don't think they would allow me to because I was too young. But that was just what you did every day. But absolutely. We all, for the most part, we all were introduced that way, walking.
Yeah. Yeah. And as that kid, were you like, okay, this is going to be my life. I'm going to be in the golf business.
I think, not at that age. I think it took a little while. I've been I've been in the golf business really since through high school. And I kind of felt like, hey, I want to do something I feel like I'm pretty good at, or I have a passion for. So it always, that kind of kept me focused and staying in the business. I think I wanted to be a player, professionally for a while. Played at Methodist College. It's a Division III school. They were very successful, but I always thought I was going to be, I wanted to play. And then it kind of worked from being a player into maybe being a professional golfer, teaching and running a golf shop, that then morphed into becoming a rep for the past 25 years, and then led into this opportunity about 6 years ago. So yeah, I've kind of felt like I've, been part of the business for, quite a while.
I think there's a lot of people who feel that if I walk a golf course, I'm going to invite new pain, aches and pains in my back because, I'm just not used to walking, or, it's easier for me to sit. I know that for me, sitting in a golf cart hurts my back more than walking it through and,
Correct.
and, being able to keep it loose.
Mm-hmm.
Are there studies or about the benefits of walking? Have they shown that it's a greater benefit for you as a golfer to walk?
It's almost, the research that we've done and seen and been provided, it's 100%. It unequivocally proves that walking is a much higher benefit to your health than sitting in a golf cart, no question. And it can come from, a caddy. You might be lucky to have a caddy where you're just walking, or are you pushing, or you're carrying your own bag. Even when it comes to that, we've actually seen some research that has shown that even just walking with an electric caddy, you're burning as much, if not more, than walking with carrying your bag or pushing a cart, because of the benefits of what goes on with your back. If you're pushing a cart, you're in a posture that's not very natural either, because depending on the hills or how the ground, if it's very soft and wet, your posture can be very almost somewhat horizontal to the ground because of where you're pushing. So the really benefits for us, and especially for the electric caddies, is you're literally taking a walk. You're not having to put any undue pressure on your back other than just how you're going to walk. So we just feel that you do feel fresher, you do feel different, in the good, in the right way. So you're not having to have all that because you're putting enough stress on your back swinging. You don't need it carrying or pushing anything as well. So it is that's really kind of what we have been trying to provide. I think the overwhelming success of electric caddies has just come from for what's happened globally. Everyone that plays golf walks outside of the United States. It is.
Was that right?
98% of the people that play golf outside the United States will be walking in some respects. So the electric caddies, or any type of vehicle that's to help you, has really taken is really the culture of that outside the United States is pretty well baked in everywhere. So it's just taken quite a while for it to happen in the United States. But you know what? Since COVID and this influx of new golfers, it is really the demand for it, and just people seeing the benefits of doing something differently, because the tech and innovations there has really become, has really taken shape, and organically has grown our category 20-fold.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And are there so there are statistics that are showing that more and more people in the U.S. are walking versus the rest of the world, which has been walking the course all the time?
So our research was, and I think it really is. It's hard to say, but we've gotten to a point where I've seen things around 35% or higher do walk exclusively. And I think a lot of people would watch, what I hear when I go around talking to a lot of people in a lot of these consumer shows and wherever, people would rather walk if they had a better way to do it. So I think innovation has got us to a point where people are starting to think about hey, I can actually do this without, so much pain or, or fatigue. There are better ways now to be able to do it. So, what we've been able to do the last 4 or 5 years is create a vehicle for someone to take a walk and play golf without, any of the ancillary issues that you might have if you were used to carrying your bag or pushing a golf cart.
Yeah, and well, it's kind of, we've been teasing this the whole time. So Billy obviously works for a company called MGI that creates electric carts.
Yes.
And I've always tried to walk. I've never carried my bag for more than 9 holes. And even when I did 9 holes, it wasn't great. Mm-hmm. And so I've used push carts for the entire time I've played golf.
Yeah.
And I noticed that, living in Northern California, we have a lot of courses that have a tremendous amount of undulation. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean on the greens. I mean the walk itself. Sure. We can go through, 400 feet of elevation change throughout. I played Chambers Bay recently in Oregon, in Washington.
Yeah, great spot. Great spot.
And it's a 7.2 mile walk,
right?
With a tremendous amount of elevation change going up.
A lot of walkers.
And it's all walking.
It's all walking.
No carts.
Right.
A lot of walking.
Yep.
But you have a caddy carrying your bag.
Right.
And so I've had the opportunity to try out one of your MGI carts, and now I'm intrigued about even going higher tech with it. And I've really enjoyed it. There is a learning curve.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And I think, I think that's part of our, motivation to, with innovation to make it as user friendly as possible. Right. I mean, I think that's just like in anything, it's the more you can make it easier to use and have it, do the most it can do, is a big part. It's always the challenge because I think, especially people our age, I think some of us get very intimidated by new technology sometimes if it's a phone, if it's a computer or whatever. But what I try to instill when I talk to someone who's going to use one of our caddies for a long time I was like, you need about 2 to 3 minutes in your driveway. Just get used to it in your driveway if you're using our remote control caddy, you'll get it, figured out pretty quickly. And it's funny when I talk to like a 21-year-old about it, they get a hang of it within a few seconds, but it's or younger. But for people our age, we're used to a certain cadence of how things are and, hitting this button, hitting that button, what it's supposed to do. I think we just, sometimes have to be, a little, relearn it a little bit. But as I said, we've got videos, we've done all these things to kind of go, hey, we're not splitting atoms here. There is a simple method to it. And then within a couple minutes, you got it pretty well handled.
I'd call it a couple rounds. Now, I'm pretty tech savvy.
Yes.
I kind of gravitate towards new tech all the time, especially on the phones and computers and things like that.
Yeah.
So this one has always intrigued me, but I kept my arm's distance because I think many years ago I tried one once and it was just, I didn't have a chance to practice with it. I just took it out on a course and it's like, I'm overwhelmed with this. This is a bit much.
Sure.
So I really appreciate the fact that I've had the ability to test one out. You guys let me test one for a month. And I live next to a golf course. So on the day it was closed, I got to take it out and walk around with it and I think I can do this. This isn't going to be that tough.
Yeah.
And again, it's a little distracting when you first get started. It is a learning curve. You do have to get used to it. But once you get used to it, it's like, why have I not been doing this before?
Right.
The walk has definitely become easier.
Yeah.
And so the first time I went out, the first round I did, I tipped it over twice.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, if that's how this thing works, then I'm going to have to figure this out.
Right.
Second round, only rolled it one time.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm getting better at this.
Right.
Rounds 3 through 6, didn't turn it over.
Right.
I started learning how to okay, slow it down here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it doesn't really, curbs, you got to help it when you go up and down a curb.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of I've tried to, and there's a nuance to that as well. Some people, sometimes they take it almost too slow over a bump, and I'm kind of like, when you're on a car, if you go over railroad tracks, the faster you go, doesn't it smooth out a little bit more than if you slow down and go over a track? It kind of, you absorb a lot more of the bumps that way. And
right, but you're not worried about your car tipping over.
No, you're not worried about your car tipping over. And
because if you don't go over, if you go over a bump and you're not at a perpendicular to it, you're on an angle, there's a chance this thing's going to tip over.
And then, of course, there's going to be a certain angle. It's like, there's some danger there. Stay away from it. But the nice thing about our caddies, though, is we do have a gyroscope in there. So as a cart, if it's on the side of a hill, and depending on the grade of the hill that we're talking about here, but it's always gonna track straight for you, even if it's kind of been jostled around over bumps. The caddy's always going to track straight because of the gyroscope. And that's been a very unique advantage that we've had out of other caddies, is because it does always, go the way you want it to, rather than having to keep turning it left or turning it right to go in your area. It's always going to track where you wanted it to go initially anyways. So that's been a good part. But I've watched people tip over, and most of the people, they just kind of laugh and giggle and they put it back up, and within a couple, I think it's just kind of learning to walk or whatever. Once you kind of do it once or twice, you learn, and then you're at it pretty good.
So I got to imagine that the technology of these, which you refer to as caddies all the time, and I'm calling it an electric cart.
Sure.
But it's if you can imagine a push cart that you don't have to push.
Correct.
It pushes itself.
And I hear that all the time, and I've dealt with it because it's like in an electric push cart. I'm like, if it's electric, it's not a push cart. So
exactly.
So buggies, trolleys,
trolleys. That's a UK term for it. It'd be a trolley, right?
Yep. Yeah. So there's a few terms that are used. We use caddies because really what the role of that unit is really to be a caddy for you. So we've always considered.
Well, wait a minute. Did I miss something in the technology that it reads putts for me too?
Not yet. Hey, but innovation is always ever changing, so you never know.
Well, now you've got some new ones that have GPS built into it.
Correct.
And a screen. You have a touch screen on there that you can hook up Bluetooth for your phone. So even if your course doesn't allow phones, which I played one last week, it's like, you don't allow phones?
Yeah.
You don't allow shorts? Wait a minute. Where am I here?
Yeah.
What era is
you?
this?
Where were you?
Yeah. I'm a real old school in 1897, established course that keeps those rules. But the fact that you can have your phone, if you get a text message, it comes up on the screen on your caddy. I'm gonna use the word caddy to see if we can get used to that. And other technologies. So it's really advancing quickly, and updating quickly. What's going on with the latest technology on your machines?
So I think innovation's always changing. I think electronics is a really interesting category to be in, especially in golf, because before I came on board with MGI, I was with some golf companies and hard goods sales where you changed every year. Something new happened every year, and then I got to this category, and we really, for up until about a year ago, things were you wouldn't change the caddy. We didn't change the caddy for 5 years. It did what it was supposed to do. Then we've kind of started to realize we were able to get some things integrated with the caddy itself to allow other offerings to have things on on the caddy. So now you're talking about our GPS unit, which is I try to explain to them to a golfer is like if you're on a golf cart and you see the GPS screen that you see on the golf cart, you literally got a 4.5-inch screen packed into your top box that does the exact same. Gives you the exact same benefits and features that you would see on the golf cart. So it's this,
which is great because so many of us now are using apps that we either purchase or download to our phone for free that give us an overview of the hole. Mm-hmm. And this way, and I don't know why, as much of a geek as I am, I've always kind of shied away from pulling out my phone. Now, if I'm wearing a watch and it gives me that information, that's great. Mm-hmm. And I'll use a rangefinder so I can see the distance to the pin. But sometimes you just need to see an overview of the hole, of where you're standing to where the flag is, what your hazards are going to be. Yeah. So having that just in front of you as you're walking is really a big difference.
I agree.
That I didn't think that I would go, I don't need that. I've got all these other apps and things that I'm doing. But it's like, oh, wait a minute. No, if I can eliminate all those things and just have it in front of me as I'm riding or walking along the cart, the caddy, I don't know.
You're fine.
The cart, the caddy, the push cart.
And I know what you're talking about. So it's not
the gadget, the mechanics. And I guess, so the new innovations as far as GPS and Bluetooth being incorporated into this, those are really going to be helpful for a lot of people. But the Holy Grail, to me, the Holy Grail of all tech, whether you're talking phones, tablets, or caddies like this, is battery life.
Yep.
Right? Yep. And so what I've noticed is it's a rechargeable battery. Mm-hmm. It's not that heavy, but it's not light.
Yeah, right? 3-4 pounds, yeah.
Yeah, mm-hmm. And it adds to the weight of the thing. I could definitely see if I was a member of a golf course and they could just keep it there and they'll charge it for me and have it ready for me and my bag when I pull up. That would be awesome.
Yep.
And I've played various private courses around here, and they're like, oh yeah, everybody's starting to use these MGI caddies, and more. And I know that you guys, we probably sell them as fleets to courses as well, right?
That's becoming, that's really, without a doubt, probably our largest increase in our business is, the fact that courses are starting to see the revenue opportunity there, especially with people that like to walk. Or have a desire to walk with their membership. And so some places will start with just a few, and all of a sudden we've seen them grow and grow and grow. They started with 4, now they got 24. Wow. And some are even more than that. So it's, I think, and that's been a great tool for us, for people to even try, because then maybe they just say, hey, I'd rather just get my own personal one, or they get the experience of walking and how much better it is. You're right. Once you start walking again, you just feel better about playing anyway. So some courses maybe just rather have the rental fleet opportunity for them to provide to the course rather than letting their members bring their own. We kind of work both ways with those.
Yeah. Yeah. And the part about the battery.
Yes.
Which interesting. Somebody asked me, like, so how many rounds can you get out of this battery? And I'm like, I don't know, because I'm kind of nervous about not charging it every time because I don't want it to run out.
Yeah.
While I'm in the middle of a round, that could be a problem.
Well, for sure. That would certainly be a problem. I think, lithium has been a big, the lithium batteries has been a big increase in the quality and the durability of a cart and how far it can go, because it's so much more efficient having a lithium battery. So what I try to tell people, because I get asked that question every day, is, how long will this go? And so we guarantee 36 holes. On a single chart.
Okay.
Guarantee it. And I would say, dependent on your topography and elevation and what you play, how heavy your bag is. I live here in Florida where it's flat as flat. I mean, I can get 54 holes, with really, and still have some left over in the battery to go even a little bit farther. I mean, that's kind of why if you looked on the screen, even with the AT, we do have a battery indicator light that's there. So you're never without, having a way to find out how much battery life is left. So, you shouldn't be too surprised. I mean, hey, maybe you want to try to push it push it meaning, I'm going to push the battery life and see if I can squeeze in these 18 holes. More than likely you can. Most people ask me, Willie, what will happen if it conks out on me on 14, what do you do? Right. And it's just like, look, you're not abandoning the thing. If the power goes out on it, it's not like you're abandoning it, because if you notice when you take the wheels, off the axle, you got those little spokes that kind of tie into the wheels. If you just take those off, there's two little rivets close to the ends of the axles. Those wheels can go there, and it turns into a push cart. On your way to there. So you're never, you're not like, if you're on 12, then, just leave it there and have someone
call a helicopter
and fly it in or something. No, you're just, you take the wheels off the spokes that we have on the axles, and it's a push cart. So
okay, well, I did notice, and that's one of the things that I really like about it, is that being able to take those wheels off and reverse them, which I think is what you're talking about, and then being able to put it in the back of the car.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
oh, my gosh. Yeah. I am so impressed at how compact it can become once you fold it up. Mm-hmm. Take that extra couple of minutes if you're taking it with you, and be able to fold it up, and it just fits snugly in the back there. I was really impressed.
Yeah, and that's another thing a lot of people do ask when they're looking at our product for the first time. They're like, well, how do you get it into the trunk, or what does it look like? And when I fold it down for them, and then what you're talking about, taking the wheels out and then inverting them and putting them in there, I tell everybody, you can put this in the front seat of your car. And no problem. So there's really not many trunks that I've seen other than some exotic European car that might not have a trunk at all. But beyond that, it can really get into any space that you really need. And that's one part of the things why some of the courses like what we're doing as well, is because, fully folded and, down, it takes up very little space in the cart barn too, or the storage area.
I drive an electric car.
Okay.
And it claims you can get 280 miles to a charge.
Right.
And the first time that I'm like, I got it. And it's like, let's take a road trip. Well, it was 90 degrees out. We ran the air conditioning the whole time. We had a car full of stuff because we were going traveling. And I got 200 miles. And I'm like, wait, what happened? So there's so many factors involved in how, but you're saying I'll get 36 holes on this.
So that's why we can't say any more than that. I mean, we can say, hey, we can guarantee you 36 holes. Because of all the factors, and that's what I try to tell people is like, look, if you live in a flat area, if your bag's not as, you're not putting 40 dozen of balls in your golf bag and have 25 clubs in there, and you put your wardrobe in there, and you have an extra battery, all those things to consider how long you're going to get in that with that battery life. It does factor in. So I always tell people, look, we'll guarantee 36 holes, but if you're cognizant of the weight and depending on the topography of the course that you're playing, you're definitely going to get more out of it. It's just for us, we just want to we can say with certainty you can get 36 holes.
Okay, good. Yeah. But what about weather conditions? I mean, how we're talking about an electronic piece here, in areas, and even if it's not raining, and you're playing in the morning, the ground could be very wet.
Sure.
How does this unit, with all the technology involved, hold up in wet conditions?
So I always tell people the simplest way to do it is like treat the caddy just like your phone. It can get wet. don't take a shower with it. Don't jump in the pool, with the caddy. It will be, it'll go fine. You got to remember, our company's out of Australia. So the environment out there is even more extreme than maybe what you'd find in certain spots here in the United States. So the caddies, was designed and built to deal with Australian weather, initially. So the rain, as well as the heat, all that is encompassing to when we put a caddy together. Now, granted, this is lithium batteries. It's electric. It doesn't go well with a lot of water. Obviously, water is its kryptonite if it's been exposed too much of it. But the way our caddies are designed, if you looked at our caddy, it's very sleek. There's no exposed areas. With the wires, it's all enclosed in the aluminum tubing that's there. We do a lot of work to keep that as safe as possible. Rain, drizzle, we have really not seen too much of that. But if it is submerged, in a large puddle, lake, river, those things, you gotta pay attention to those. But we're advancing all the time. I mean, our product development team's always looking for, other things, and, love to stand here one day and say, hey, you could, push this right into a lake and just pull it back out and get going again. That would be an amazing thing to claim. We're clearly not there yet, but, we're doing a lot of things, technology wise, that I think, over the next few years, you're going to see some things that are really even going to make, those little troubled areas really come, you don't have to worry about that, too much anymore. So as I said, innovation's always changing and improving for this experience, because it's really what we're talking about is, we're just enhancing the golf experience that we want on the golf course.
Well, I'll tell you, there are a couple things about it that I've just been, the more I get accustomed to having it in my life, that I'm pretty blown away about. What I've noticed, first of all, in the first couple rounds, I wasn't being as social as I can be on the golf course, because I was so focused on where the cart is and how it's doing and where it's going and things like that I was not talking to anybody but to the remote control. Right. That's getting better. I'm seeing open. It's like, oh, okay, there's a fairway that I can go down here and just let it go, and it'll meet me there. I can get a sense of when it's time for it to stop. Okay, I can do that. And I'm able to talk. But my favorite is, when you hit that inevitable errant shot, that the ball goes into an area that you're going to have to go looking for the ball. Yeah. How many times, if you're with a push cart or, I'm not going to say, because people who carry their bag maybe carry it at all times, but with you're looking for the ball and you finally find it, but your cart is now 20 yards behind you. Right. Having a remote control in your pocket where you can just go, oh boy, come here now. Come here, doggy. Right? Yeah. And so being able to just leave the cart there and go, the caddy there, and say, all right, now I need you. Come to me now. Yep. That's great. Yeah. That has saved a lot of time for me. That is the 90-degree rule, goodbye forever type of thing. Right. Because it's always at your beck and call. Yeah. And that's the funny thing, it's like how people use it. There's no, perfect way. Some people, they'll get it going and they want it to kind of be right near them, the caddy. Other guys, as they walk, they send it and they send it to the ball as fast as they can and stop it as close as they can. So there's never been I can't say there's a perfect ideal way to use it. Some people like it being very close by and almost as a companion, and others, they get it out there as fast as they can, and then they're just walking with their friends. But the way you said it, it's like if you're sending it, you probably need to pay attention a little bit,
I've even had the times where someone will, distract me and start talking, and all of a sudden I've seen it's heading towards a tree or something. And it's like, oh, hold on, I gotta,
or a puddle, or a drain.
Yeah,
And all of a sudden there's this drain that it's rolled over. It's like, wait, where did that come from?
Right. There's always a hole somewhere that you don't necessarily see, even though I've been a member at this club for so long, and then it went into a hole. I was like, I had never seen that before, and then think what was going on. But you're right. I think there's just there's a lot of convenience to having that with you, because I think one of the biggest things that I see from people is that, boy, it's really great. I hit a shot on the green, I can grab my putter, and I just send that. I just send it to the next tee without having to worry about anything. Where if it's a push cart or something, you're either balancing it or pushing it as far away as you can. This, you can put it, send it right to the next tee, really without worrying about anything, and you're just playing golf.
Yeah, let's talk about the remote control for a little bit. Small remote control automatically hooks up to the unit, and just as soon as you unplug it, you get a little on the screen that I have. It shows how much battery life, so that's never an issue at all.
Nope.
And it's pretty responsive. I have a lot of fun. I mean, I've never flown drones before. I've always wanted to, or remote control airplanes. Yeah. But like going down a pathway, as the pathway wanders in and out and moves and turns, and being able to get accustomed to the remote control and making those turns is kind of fun.
Yeah.
It's like a little remote control car.
It is. That's what I kind of try to tell people. You just, everyone's given their kids a remote control car, in their lives, and it really navigates very similar to that in a lot of ways. I think, we try to make it as easy as possible, because, your left and your right and your backwards is all, when you release the button, it stops, or it stops doing that command. And then
that's left, right, and backwards.
Correct. And then
forward, you can let go of the button.
We hit it once and it goes, because the fact is, the last one we want you to do is having to hold down the forward key the whole time, because 98% of the time that's what you're going to do anyways. So you hit it once and it's going to go forward for you. And that's why the only time you really need to hit the stop button is when you get if the unit gets close to the ball, or when you want it to stop. That's where the red stop button comes in. But outside of that, the left and the right and the backwards, once you depress it, it stops on command. But the forward key, we keep it going forward, because that's the last. We don't want you to play 18 holes and having the whole keep your thumb pressed on the remote the whole time. You're going to have a sore thumb, after a few holes, having to keep that down.
That's new set of blisters for you,
right? So one
of the other things that I think is really thoughtful in the design of this is that back small stabilizer wheel, that if it's going up an incline at all, it won't tip backwards, because it's got this extra wheel. Yeah. And then when you're going downhill with it, it doesn't take off on you.
No,
it kind of slows down.
Yeah. That's been a big design feature for us, especially in our remotes, is that the downhill, and as well as like uphill, if you needed to park it, it's not going to. Once it breaks, it doesn't slide down either. So you have the ability to really, on those hill conditions, it doesn't run away, it doesn't slide back, it stays in the consistent speed that you're looking for it to do.
Am I not getting this, or is it not developed yet, that maybe there's some sort of, I guess, a beacon put in the remote control so that the caddy can just follow you without you pressing any buttons?
Yeah, you're going down the rabbit hole with that one, Fred. So it's I don't know if we got this kind of time yet.
This is episode 966. You want to talk about rabbit holes?
I need another hour to just talk about that. Now, look, I think we are. We're the number one manufacturer of electric caddies in the world, and especially in the United States. And we've always felt and believed that the caddy should be in front of you, So we've always felt that the caddy being in front of you is the ideal way to play, because if it's behind you, what happens? Towels fall off. It could run into other people. Head covers fall off. You got to go over bridges. How does that work to make sure it's going over properly?
Okay.
There's a lot of things that are behind you that you just don't see. And then, and you're constantly
pay attention to
a lot of
right. You get up to your ball and the caddy is
you're
somewhere 200 yards behind you.
Hey, what happened here? Now, with that being said, I think the demand for the follow me technology is to a point where it's something that I think it has been done. The technology we don't feel is perfected yet. But they're very, very close. There's some companies that have done a very good job with it, but I think we see that the price point might be a little higher than where we are. And so we're trying to keep our caddies to a price point that are affordable for everybody and not $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 or north of that. And so we're constantly evolving and looking at things. And so, I think we're pretty. I think it's not in the not too distant future where, you're going to see, being able to do all three modes, one where you're walking and the caddy's being powered and you're just there to help steer it remotely, as well as a follow me, I think is in the, not too distant future where you can do all three modes very effectively, seamlessly without, any hardship at all.
Great. So let's wrap this up by telling us the different models that are available and their U.S. pricing. Yeah.
So, our top of the line is our AI GPS Plus. It retails for $18.95. That gives you the GPS screen that we were talking about that you would see it normally in a golf cart. So that gives you your GPS yardages for all 18 holes. Plus, it's a stat tracking features and keeps your score, and it really allows you to really keep all your information in one place, because we do have an MGI app, and all that information that you put on that screen gets sent to our MGI app, where it's stored and you can use as for future times, and keep records of how you play.
Ooh, interesting. I love that.
And that's a 4-wheel construction golf cart. So it really has kind of got the best of both worlds. It's very sturdy, as well as gives you all the tech features of what of a GPS. Then if you want to go a step down for that, because a lot of golfers do have a phone that has an 18 birdies or something like that on there. Hey, I don't need all that. Of course, we do have the Navigator AT, which is retails at a $15.95 price point, and that also is a 4-wheel construction caddy, and gives you all the other benefits and features just without the GPS unit on top. But it will give you your speed, battery power. It will log your miles on how far you actually walked, so you can really get a sense of how far you're walking with the caddy and throughout golf. So,
but that's total miles. It's like an odometer. It's not
exactly.
like,
but you do have.
It just doesn't tell me what I did on this.
Well,
course.
You do have 2 other settings. So they'll give you 3 settings. One's a total, and then you have like a trip A, a trip B.
Oh, you do.
Where you can kind of say, hey, I'm just curious how far I'm walked today, and so you're able to log those exclusively. But there is a total odometer as well.
Oh, I got to figure that one out.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. You can email me and I'll tell you how to do it.
Okay.
And then our Navigator, which is our next one down for that, also remote control. That's at $14.95. But the only difference between that and AT is the front end, where it's a 3-wheel construction, not a 4-wheel. So if you're not in if you're not in an area that has so much so much incline or anything which is a little more flatter terrain, the Navigator's a great unit for us. So we offer that at $14.95, and those are what we call our remote models, meaning they're all remote controls. And we do offer 3 others that are what we call non-remote. They are walking assist, where they are battery powered, but they, for the people that are a little more a little more hesitant with the tech and want to keep some control of the caddies, we do have a Zip. The Zip series has an X5, an X3, and an X1. Our X5's at $10.99, and that actually has a downhill speed control and hill braking capability, and that starts at $10.99. And then our X3 is at $8.99, which is our X3 that is very same footprint as the X5, just without the speed control, speed control and hill braking. Again, if you're in one of those flatter areas that just you don't need all that help. And then our X1 is really what we call our entry level, base model for someone who's just looking for something to get from point A to point B, no frills, no nothing. That's our $6.99 option.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Thank you for doing that. And we've talked so many times about people getting nervous about spending a lot of money on a putter. And come on, really? You're going to spend a lot of money on a driver and not on a putter? I just don't understand it. Think about what is more important to your game. Yeah. What's going to lower your score? Right. So you're going to spend more money on a putter. Now, we hear these numbers that you've just given us ranging from $6.99 to $18.95. Amortize that, folks.
Yeah. Well, that's
it sounds like a lot of money on the upfront. No question about it. But think about the life you're going to, if you use this for easily 10 years, if not longer.
Sure.
Right? Think about what you're saving and the health benefits of allowing you to walk. That's really the bottom line sales point on this, is that if you enjoy walking, you like walking, you need to walk, you really should be walking, this is going to help.
Absolutely.
It's going to make life a little easier and a little more fun and give you a conversation piece.
and I think what you do is what I see a lot of times when we do, a golf course might, get introduced to our products and they bring it in for the first time. It always seems to start with one person. That, hey, I got Mr. Jones here, was interested in your MGI, and we bring it in with him. Well, all of a sudden, his buddies are calling and looking for it as well, and then other members see it on the golf course, and it really does organically grow, club to club, and so we've just watched this, really. Spread from, hey, I'm doing it for myself, but then their friends doing it, and I'll be honest, and I know you've done this. The four of you walking together playing golf is a great. It's a great experience because you talk a lot more. You're getting involved more socially that way, rather than being in a cart where you're literally you're not saying a word to anybody until you get to the green and then you're off again. So
what immediately comes to my mind is Apocalypse Now, and those helicopters, and you hear the theme of Flight of the Valkyries. Right. I could just imagine being playing with a foursome that all have the electric carts and the music. Dun, da, 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 da,
it turns your head. It certainly turns their heads. I mean, especially 5 years ago when we first started, I remember, someone seeing this thing going down the fairway and they just, what is that? They've never seen it before. But,
I understand it's a new Olympic sport for 2028, synchronized caddies.
Right, kart race. No, it's been fun to watch.
No, you can have little,
I know. I think
things like that.
I think you're onto something, Fred.
I think so. I think we got some. Well, and when I first brought it out, one of my friends realized one guy's carrying his bag, one guy's got a push cart, and I've got the electric one. And it's like, okay, no tech, low tech, high tech.
High tech.
I'll go with the high tech any day of the week.
I'm sure.
Thank you.
I'm sure they were jealous.
So mgigolf.com, or in the United States, go to
www.us.mgigolf.com.
And also you can find lots more information about them on Instagram and Facebook.
Correct.
Just look up MGI Golf. If you're in the United States, go to MGI Golf North America. Yep. But you can just find things at MGI Golf, and you're going to find everything you need to know. Absolutely. Billy, this has really been fascinating, and I really appreciate the opportunity to try this out. You got me talking about a rabbit hole, man. You got me hooked on this thing. I'm really starting to enjoy it a lot more every round I'm playing, and I'm getting better with it. And it feels like a new skill set on the golf course.
Awesome. Fred, thank you so much. This was enjoyable. Thank you.
So here's the deal. MGI Golf has generously offered me to try 2 different models of their electric caddies over the last few months. I've now tested the Zip Navigator AT, And more recently, their Navigator AI GPS Plus that has built-in GPS, a cell phone-sized full-color touchscreen that shows a graphic of the entire hole and front, middle, back of the green. It keeps one person's score and is even Bluetooth enabled so that you can tuck your phone in your bag, and if any calls or messages need attention, it lets you know. Now, being a tech geek, I was pretty excited to see how well I could incorporate the touchscreen and data into my round, and it's not bad. I still have to keep running amounts on a scorecard because I generally keep everyone's score during the round, and because I still use a shot scope watch, a rangefinder for exact distance to the hole, and tags on my clubs to analyze my data after the round, it's kind of redundant. There is a learning curve that includes driving the cart via remote control, but that's kind of fun too. So I'm still trying to decide which unit I'm going to purchase because what I've found to be the 3 biggest benefits make it a slam dunk to keep one. 1, both of these caddies fold up pretty small to keep in the back of my car. Might even be a little smaller than the click gear push cart that I've used forever. Second, it makes the walk much, much easier. Do you realize that approximately 34.5% of all golf-related injuries have to do with the back? That's why I've never been able to carry a bag during a round and always relied on a push cart. And now, an electric caddy. But for me, the greatest benefit is when I've hit a ball that goes into the trees or the tall rough, and it does happen on a regular every round, and then you find yourself walking 20 to 30 yards back and forth searching for the ball inside the tall grass, and then I finally find it. I can call the caddy back to me with the remote control, which not only saves unnecessary walking, it saves a lot of wasted time. And let me also say, their customer service is fantastic. I've had some issues with syncing my iPhone with the GPS Plus, and they've been extremely helpful, friendly, and attentive to my issues. So I continue to emphasize the importance of walking the course, and if you can justify amortizing the cost over a 10 to 15 years of playing more golf, at least 10 to 15 years, it's well worth your investigation. Now, I haven't talked about Golf Smarter Mulligans in a while, but you've probably figured out that it arrives every Friday on the same feed you get your new weekly episodes. So for the last 5 years, we provide you with Golf Smarter Mulligans, which are the best episodes from our archives that are still just as valid today in helping you become a better, smarter golfer as they were when they were first released. Like this Friday's show from October of 2012, where we talked to instructor Jeff Ritter on the first of his 2 episodes, talking about his integrated approach to game improvement. Here's a taste.
I've had clients come in and say, you know what, I practice all the time. You know, I should be able to repeat this. You know, I should be able to hit a bunker shot or a pitch shot or hit a tee shot like Tiger Woods. I mean, I've had people say that. And I say, you know what, if you told that to Tiger Woods, he'd punch you in the face right now.
Why?
Because he's one of the world's greatest athletes, and he spends about 5,000% more time working on his game than you. You know, why in the world would you deserve to hit it like him? We talked about this before. You know, golf's not about who hits the best. It's about who misses it the least. People have to understand that in a coaching environment, if you're open, you are going to perform at a much higher level. And you should do that immediately. But to own it and take it to the course and stand there with half the people in your club membership looking at you and rip it down the fairway just like you coaches there, it's not going to happen until you deserve to have it happen. And that comes through that journey. And that's why golf is exciting, because it takes a lot of hard work to play at a high level. It doesn't take a lot of hard work to experience great ball flight, but it takes a lot of hard work to own that ball flight.
I want to thank this week's Golf Smarter ambassador, Rich Tolman of St. John's, Florida. Rich chose to receive Tony Manzoni's Lost Fundamental video just for sharing with us where he's from, what his favorite course, or in his case, 2 favorite courses that he likes to play, and this episode number. It's that easy to get a free gift and show your support of Golf Smarter just by leaving a voicemail on our toll-free listener line. I'd like to invite you to also participate and be a Golf Smarter ambassador. Choose from one of 3 great gifts when you participate. Just write to golfsmarterpodcast@gmail.com and I'll get back to you with some simple instructions on how we play this game. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for upcoming episodes, please write to golfsmarterpodcast@gmail.com or just click on the Hey Fred button when you visit golfsmarter.com.